There we are.
Hi. Oh, we have Jeff. We have Jeff. We have David. Yay. I'm looking for one thing. We have
Hey,
Steve.
Steve. Oh, I have a microphone? I guess I do.
Okay, so I'm coming back here. So all we need is we have David, we have Jeff, and I hope we have Jude, because we're going to be missing a couple of people. So if we don't have enough for a quorum, we'll have a work session, and hopefully we have enough for a quorum. So we'll see who else. We're still a minute early, but I know some people are not joining.
I guess I should put them a little higher so they can see me somehow.
And I sent out a text, and I did not hear from Jude at all.
Nope. I guess it was the wrong way.
Okay, so 3:28, 22. Okay, so and I don't know. Let me just text Jude and see if she's joining. Oh, yay, we have several people here.
We may not be there, she says. There's all these other people not on the committee.
Okay, so where we are here is we may be having a work session, as I mentioned, rather than an official meeting. I see we have okay, we have hi Janine. So we have a lot of people, but we need 4 members of our zoning revision committee to have an official meeting. But this is and right now we have Jeff and we have David and we have me. So Jude, yay. Yay. So we have an official meeting. Jeff, I think you're in the car perhaps, but you're there, Jeff.
That is correct. I'm in the car, so that's why my sound is my
Okay.
Off and my video's on.
I'm sorry, I kind of heard that and I kind of didn't hear that, but that's okay. But you can hear us though, right?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, okay, and I heard that. So okay, I'm just going to write down who all we have, and then we'll get going. Janine, we have Steve, we have Weston, and we have Rex. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so where we are, I know that who we have absent. I know that Michael said he could not come, and I know that Connor said he could not come. And the other surprise is Ed will not be here either. My original vision for this meeting was that Ed would review we all were supposed to have reviewed the document, and that Ed would mark it up because I predicted he would have the most markups. And what happened was Ed did actually mark it up, and something funny happened, and he said he had about 50 markups, and he saved it along the way, and then he closed out of the document. And when he went back into the document, the markups were totally not there. And this happened kind of mid-afternoon, and he really wanted to, there wasn't, so he's still investigating, is there a way to retrieve the markups? He sent me the document. I thought maybe I could try. I couldn't retrieve them either. Anyway, so he would rather be part of a discussion when he's actually got the document marked up, and it is what it is. But this was intended to be a meeting. The primary purpose of this meeting was to talk about everybody's input on the document. So this is the telecommunications document. So we're still going to do that. The what I will do is I will share my screen, which I know Jeff can't see, but that's okay. I will share, and I'm going to bring up the agenda, and hopefully we can I'll go through what the agenda is for this meeting, and hopefully we can approve the agenda and go through the topics and then get into the wireless law. So the agenda of today is open the meeting, which we did pretty close to 6:30. So I'll give us credit for 6:30. Adopt the agenda, the minute status. Someday I'm going to send an email with all the minutes on there and say, hey, everybody go approve the minutes. For now, I'm sending them out. There's a couple of gaps, but a lot of them are there, and we'll get to that one of these days. The topics, I'll give you a quick update as things as I run down the line of, I'm kind of running through the agenda and actually covering things, but the big topic is regulating wireless. But the other status of other laws in progress, Housing Oversight Task Force, we still have our bi-weekly meetings. We still have we're having additional meetings, and the proposed law will be shared with the town board when it's ready, and then at a town board meeting presented to everybody. So at all committees, a lot of people want to see it, and they'll all see it at the same time. So that is still the plan. The Xena Critical Environmental Area, it's not a law, but just to have the Zoning Revision Committee know the status. The WEC did provide an education session at a March 15th town board meeting. There were many concerns brought forth. There's a follow-on education planned at the Xena Firehouse this spring. So that's the status of that. I'm skipping over wireless because that's the main event here. Water supply protection, we've got a team of 7 who is doing a final review. We have agreement on the law. We have agreement on the map. I sent it out to the group of 7 one last time to take a look. Gave them until the end of the day, Wednesday, to get back to me if they have any adjustments. And so that law will likely go out to the town board, and I will send it to everybody here at the same time. So that is on the verge of going out, which is, I think, great news. Scenic overlay, of course, we're not covering it because Connor's not here. I just leave it in there as a placeholder so we remember that we'll get back to it at a future meeting. And the other thing, review complete streets zoning law statement. I don't expect we'll actually get this meeting, but they did send us a zoning law statement that we should look at one of these days, but I think probably not today. And what Ed and I agreed is that we're going to work together, maybe April 4th, maybe before. He wants to get his comments in the document. I've read, it's about 47 pages, and I've read 40 pages of it. So I still have 7 pages to go, but I have a whole pile of comments. And so, but we'll all talk together about what comments everybody else has. So, but the plan is I'm going to get with Ed on April 4th, although the date could be a different, earlier or later. So when he gets his comments to stick in the law, I'll add my comments. And just to be clear, I'm not looking for anybody at all to mark up the text. I'm not looking for anybody to put strike through or add words or change words, nothing. Only if you want to make a comment, you highlight the words that you think need a comment, that you have questions about, or you think ought to be changed. You highlight them, and there's a comment box shows up on the right. Does not change the text. It's just, here's what I think. So that's what people are doing. That's what I plan to do, what I plan to work with Ed to do. Just comments on the right, no markup of the text, and that'll help us consolidate what we want to see. The plan is Andrew Campanelli is right now scheduled to come to a town board meeting on April 19th. And he had offered to do this so that anybody in the town could be asking him questions. So the mission of the meeting today is we'll go through it with whatever detail people are comfortable doing about what you think about the telecommunications document. If there are comments, I've got my hard copy here. I can mark up your comments as well as my comments, so that when I load my comments in, I can be loading your comments into the document, or we can be building a list, probably a combination of each. So, and we're going to meet again April 11th. We'll be meeting again before Andrew comes to a town board meeting. So we will have a chance to all, I'm hoping today, to start getting all of our comments or concerns gathered together. Again, it'll either be notes on the document. You tell me which section I find it. I say, okay, here's your note, or I just put it on a list here in my notebook here. But the idea is to collect anybody's comments or concerns or thoughts. So the next steps for the wireless is, again, I'll be meeting with Ed one-on-one, and we're all going to meet again on April 11th. And I'm not looking for, like I said, for anybody to change the document. We want to know what everybody's concerns are, so we have a consolidated list, so we can start, at least get a vision of how much work we need to do to have this document match what we in Woodstock want. So I think it's pretty good, but I had a tweak here and a tweak there. There was a section I found was confusing. I have a suggestion for how to rearrange it. Anyway, so that is the agenda. Do I have anybody, David, Jude, or Jeff? Does anybody approve the agenda for today?
I'll approve it, I guess.
Yay! Okay, I'll go ahead and second. So, all in favor of approving the agenda? Aye, aye. Yay. And Jeff, you're on mute, but three has it anyway. So it's approved, because our protocol for our meeting says that a quorum is 4, but when we vote for anything that's not a law, the majority of people at the meeting pass. So anyway, that's that. And Jude has her hand up.
I was wondering, was Ed working on a Word document? Because usually you can go back to prior versions. Do you know?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, he's working on. Yes, he's working on a Word document. He said he had an old level of Word, and he was looking for it, and he sent it to me. And I don't know if he was saving along the way. You think it would be somewhere. And I said, well, maybe you had a downloaded copy, and maybe it's in your download folder, not in your normal working folder. And he looked there. He's got somebody who's very strong on Word that he's going to get to work with him, and I hope it turns up. So, but yeah, that's a good question. So, okay. So I'm going to unshare for a moment, and I will ask a question. Now, I know for the purpose of telecommunications, I've said to Steve, he has an equal say at meetings, although he doesn't get a vote because he's not a ZRC member, but he has an equal say. So, but we have a small enough, I'm not sure who's on the phone. I see somebody's on the phone, and that's okay. So anyway, so as we talk about the telecommunications law, we covered everything else on the agenda except for the telecommunications law. I don't know who all read it entirely. I know, again, I've gotten to page 40 out of 47 pages. Oh, Steve's on the phone. So, okay. Go ahead, Steve.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I just want to make sure because the audio on my computer is not working. So this is how I have to do it.
Okay, no problem.
What comment?
So for anybody, well, and not to put people on the spot, but I will. For the ZRC, if I could ask Dave, I look at people in the order you're on my screen. You could be on different people's screens different ways. But David, how much of the telecommunications document how far along are you in it?
Not quite far along.
Not quite far along. Okay. And Jude, how far along are you in the document? Go ahead, David.
Get out. I was just going to say, the one thing I'm worried about is that the industrial and the neighborhood is right in the neighbor. I mean, it's
residential.
The industrial neighborhood is right in the middle of the residential neighborhood.
Right.
So I don't think there should be towers. They should have the same regulations.
Right.
Light industrial and neighborhood commercial.
Yeah, light industrial neighborhood commercial.
Right. So yeah, light industrial neighborhood commercial is residential, should have the same regulations as elsewhere.
Right.
And I agree with you 100%. Okay. Any other comments, Dave? And I know Pat, I should include Pat as being here because clearly Pat's here too, but she's welcome. Any other comments, David?
Any other comment, Pat?
No, that was the main thing.
So, okay. All right. So Jude, if I may ask how far you got through the document?
I mainly skimmed it. And I did notice the same thing that Dave noticed and Ed noticed about the neighborhood commercial and the light industrial. I
Yeah.
have a question for Steve because he sent out an email saying that he spoke to Mr. Campanelli and that he had an explanation for why he had inserted that into the log prior to anybody suggesting it. So I was wondering if you could tell us what he found out.
Yeah, sure. I called him, that as soon as I saw that, I called him, and he, let me lower the volume on this thing on this end. And what he told me was that he has, you have to have some places to put 5G. You can't say you can't put it anywhere.
Right.
So he chose the industrial, not realizing, although at the moment I didn't know either. I didn't know enough to say to him, well, that's right next to the residential.
Right.
And so maybe, when we speak with him, we can tell him that. But I think what he said is that, he's amenable to changing anything you want.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So there's no problem there. He just thought he was doing what was beneficial to the town.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. And he'll guide us, like you say. We have to have some place to put the towers. But it seemed to me that he was allowing towers kind of everywhere. It's just what's the setback? If you're in LI, your setback is 50 feet, and if you're someplace else, it's 300 feet. So he was altering what the setback was. It seemed like he wasn't negating towers anywhere, but the regulation was stricter if it was residential. And I think we're just saying make the regulation equally strict no matter where you're going to put it. But we'll be talking about, that'll be a question for him on April 19th.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
One added thing was that to my question about the very same thing about putting towers everywhere, he said that because it was being done on a case-by-case basis, there's so much regulation that 90% of them will be able to be rejected.
Right.
Without officially saying that.
Right. Right. And I'm just making notes here.
The fact that it's a case-by-case basis is a great benefit to the town to be able to control it. And there are multiple ways that that facility can be rejected with all the other things he's put into the zoning code.
Right. Well, not only that, but he's put so many things that a complete application has so many parts it needs, it might not even make it past the building inspector. So the building inspector gets it first. There's a lot of stuff it needs, which I thought he did a really good job on that. So I thought he did a great job really everywhere, even though I have a whole pile of comments. I thought as a base, I was very happy with the document. So let me go back to Jude for a moment. So Jude, did you have any other comments you wanted to add?
Not now, no.
Okay, and I'm doing ZRC members first. So Jeff, I know you're, well, right now you're muted. I know you're in the car. Did you have anything you wanted to add? And I see you're still on mute, so I was waiting until I saw you come off mute.
Still on mute.
Well, we'll loop around to Jeff then. Jeff, at whatever point you can come off. Oh, there you go. He's off mute. Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm off mute. Sorry, what do you need, Laura?
Anything that you wanted to add, because I'm asking zoning revision committee people first. I'm going around the room here. So anything you wanted to add in terms of comments or things you'd like to see? And how much of the document did you read? You're a busy guy. Everybody on this call is busy. Did you get very far?
40 pages. I've read 40 pages fewer than you have, Laura.
So there you go. Well, and that's why we have a 7-person committee, because not everybody does everything, and that's okay. So, okay. Anything you want to add as far as input at this time?
Not at this point.
Okay. So you're okay. Okay. So Steve, I will go to you next. And you may need your phone again. Any comments? So Steve, well, let me ask everybody else is, as we go through people's comments on the document, like I said before, we can either just make a list of comments, or if you say, hey, this section here, I don't like this paragraph, I've got my document, I'll grab for it. So just tell me whether you want to make general comments, but if you have specific comments to a specific section, I'm accepting comments of any kind.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add, actually, is something in reference to the American Disabilities Act. What do you call it? American Disabilities Act accommodation, that the carrier would have to agree to, make it applicable in the application. So that's not included. It was an option in the list of options when he did an analysis for the town. But I think that it would take some of us specifically to say to him, can you put that in there? And that's why he hasn't put that in there, because nobody said that yet.
Okay. Okay, I'm just making some notes here. Okay, so kind of, is it a good idea? Because he may say it is or isn't. Is it a good idea? Okay, is it a good idea? And what would it mean to add this? Okay. Did you have anything else that you wanted to
No, you know what? I was hoping that his visit with us would have been sooner, so people could ask questions of him and then decide to say, what did you want to do with this document? What were you wanting to do with this document? Because after you hear what he has to say, you may change things that you thought were important at the time.
Right.
And I'm wondering, is it a possibility? When did you say the next meeting was with the ZRC?
Well, our next meeting, we meet on the 2nd and 4th Monday. So April 11th would be our next meeting, which gives us another chance to meet before Andrew Campanelli comes to a town board meeting on the 19th.
Well, if I could set it up, would you or would the ZRC be interested in having Andrew on the next meeting besides being on the meeting with the town board?
Well, I feel a little funny about that because, I like to do things in concert with the supervisor. And my question really is, it's a good question. It's a good question. My question is, I don't know how he's charging. We had a fixed price for his work on this. And so I don't know.
He's not charging for this.
For the meeting.
He's not charging for this. This is all part of it.
Okay.
And I actually have the check to pay him our part of the
right. Okay.
Of the fee, and he put that in there. He said, I want to make sure you guys are satisfied, and I'm going to make this Zoom call happen.
Right. So.
And when I bring it up, if it was anything extra to cover the Zoom call, which I don't think it will be, because he actually personally owes me a Zoom call, and I would we would make that happen on our end.
The rest of the board has to hear.
Okay. So at no charge to the town. So I'll just check with Bill, and I will need to get back to you, Steve, then. I appreciate the offer, and I see the value of the sooner the better. And I think we're going to have a good list of, topics for him just from what we're saying here. So I think it would be very productive. And my hope would be to get the document that has what Ed is, Ed's comment markups and my comment markups merged in the same document. We could also send that to him ahead of time so he could see some of what he and I have. I mean, I also noted the most critical thing I think is that LINC that everybody's bringing up here. I think that's the most critical thing, because we don't want towers in the middle of a residential area, and they really are residential. So we'll give that some more thought too. So, okay. Anything else, Steve, that you had wanted to?
No, I just, like I say, I would like this, really, I think the way that would be so beneficial to the committee would be to hear him answer your questions, so then you can decide what is actually really needs changing, or, you know what I mean? If
Right.
seems like I don't know, it's just my own opinion, okay? Seems like you're putting the horse before the behind the carriage.
Yeah.
And by not having him explain the zoning law to you, so then you can decide what's in, maybe what you thought was important before you knew isn't important once he explains it to you. But the way it's set up now, you're not going to hear about it at all. You're going to put together all of these comments and even in the next meeting without hearing from him.
Well, I agree with you with the value. Yeah, I agree with you with the value. I know that the town board meeting, the supervisor reached out to Andrew, and that's the date that they agreed on. So I agree with you that we can ask if he can come on the 11th. The sooner we get all this process finished, the better. But I will say my plan as the zoning revision committee chair is, even though the cart might be before the horse, we're going to wind up going back to the other way too. So even once we have Andrew talking, once we have Andrew talking, if we have more, I'll be coming back to another zoning revision committee meeting, gather everybody's input and say, okay, now what do you have now that you've heard Andrew? So I'm not like shutting off the list. Oh, we have a list now, we see Andrew, we're done. No, Andrew comes and talks, and then we can go back and go through stuff. So okay. So I agree with you. It's a good idea. I will just check with Bill and see if he has any issue, because I don't like to slam dunk things. I like to make sure if anybody has concern, they get to hear it. So I'm going to move on to Janine, if that's okay, Steve.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Janine,
okay. Thank you, Laura. It's just a simple, quick question. If you would be so kind as to send me a copy of what it is that your 47 pages that you're in the process of reading, that I could look at the old.
Oh, did you never get it?
I haven't. No, I'm on the water, but I certainly can move into the telecommunications if I'm going to sit in and listen. So, no rush. I mean, at your convenience, then I can know what you're talking about.
To send the 47 pages.
That's fine. And I promise I'll do my best to get through half of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yay. Okay. It's very exciting reading. So
I'll read it at night. Yes, I got you.
There you go. So, okay. So there's a March 3rd email that I'll forward to you. Okay. Exactly. Okay. All righty. So I'm going around here. Weston, did you have anything, Weston, that you wanted to say?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. And I see Rex. Rex, is there anything that you wanted to say? And I see Rex is on.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Let's see. I've read through about 2/3 of the document, and I think it's excellent. I've read some of the previous, the old wireless law, and I think everything in here seems, at least the way he's presenting it is very valuable, and I like the fact that it's a tool. I think this is important to understand, that this is a tool that needs to be used with skill.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's later in the document, but I know that he recommends having an officer who's in charge of dealing with these applications when they come, and that person needs to be very familiar with how to use this document, because there's so much to it. And like Steve was saying, using the right parts to be able to, regulate the responsible placement of the small cells. So I've heard from Steve that Andrew Campanelli had said the 50-foot setback was necessary so that it didn't end up getting thrown out in court, but there were other things that could be applied to other things in the document. So it's a strategic use of the document that's going to be critical to the success if we want to limit the amount of small cells that are around the town. And then also, I'm glad that he's addressing the macro towers also in here, because I know I've heard from Bill McKenna that he thinks that part doesn't need to be updated, but I think it was written a long time ago, and it makes sense to update it because things have changed. And so I'm glad he's addressing that in here also.
Right. Well, and it seems to be replacing, because we had the large tower area in the law, and what Ed had, I know that David worked on it as well, but Ed was the main author of it, of what came out of the zoning revision committee, that the small tower, and the idea was keep the large tower as it is, so we're not diverted on that, but just do the small tower. But yes, it looked like he did incorporate everything. And I also liked the way he came forth with his verbiage. He was clear about there are prerequisites. You have to have this to even have your application, approved. To even go through the process, your application has to be complete or it'll be stopped right away. And he was very articulate about a lot of things, and he had a good structure to what applicants had to do. So yeah. Okay. Any other comments, Rex, that you wanted to add?
No, I'm just really glad to see this momentum on this issue. It's really means a lot to me.
But we're getting there. Well, and I really appreciate, Steve, I appreciate all that Steve did to light a spark. He lit a spark, and then he got a fire, and then he got people moving. So I appreciate everybody's interest, but I appreciate that Steve did a ton to connect us with Andrew Campanelli. And I think as I read the law he wrote, I think we're on the right path here. So I thank everybody, but I also thank Steve, because I know he was really pushing this.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay. So we've been around the room, so to speak. The mission of this meeting was to get everybody's input so far on the document. Everybody's had a chance to speak. Is there anything that anybody else, because this could be a short meeting, but I think that, I think this is all we want to do today. So is there anything else anybody wants to say about the law? I will talk to Bill McKenna and see if he has any issue with inviting Andrew to come to our April 11th zoning revision committee meeting. I can have my notes from this meeting documented, so the questions we have can be sent to Andrew Campanelli, so he's coming with already knowing what is on people's minds. And hopefully Ed and I will get together and get our detailed comments merged into the document so he can take a look at those. So anyway, those are the next steps there. Is there anything else anybody wants to say about the law?
I'd like to say something.
Okay. That was Steve, I think, right?
Yeah. Okay. Basically, I also would like to add to the zoning law the part where set up right in the draft that there will be a periodic test of the maximum permissive the exposure radiation from the tower into the community. What levels it's at? There's a stipulation for that. And in the analysis that he did for the town, one of the options, there were 3 different options regarding testing what the levels of radiation are. And one of them was that citizens could do random checks. If they had the equipment, And I would like to see that added in. And it's in it, not specifically the way I'm saying it right this minute, but the way it says it in his analysis when he gave it as one of the options that we could decide if we wanted to do.
Right.
And we do have, I don't know if you know it or not, but Rex is a student now for Building Biology Institute, and he has acquired some really good equipment. And I would like to see him to be able to put that he has much better equipment than I do. And, you know, he's doing it, he wants to do it professionally. And I would like to be able to see Rex be able to go up there every once in a while and check, especially since he lives down the street. It's, you know, and so does Weston.
Right.
From the tower. They live down the street from the tower. So it would be, I think it would be a benefit to the town to have Rex or anybody with the, you know, good equipment to go up there randomly and test that tower.
Yeah. Okay. So as we say, add it. So you're saying that so the periodic testing, and it could be in the last 7 pages I didn't read yet, but I don't remember seeing it anywhere in the document. So you're saying that the idea of periodic testing is nowhere in the document, and you want that added, or there is periodic testing in the document, but you want having added that the citizens can do it?
Currently what's in the document, the draft, is that for an allowance for a RF engineer to come in periodically and test the tower. That's what's in the draft right now. And I believe it's at the expense of the carrier. So what I would like to see added is that not only can that RF engineer do a periodic test, but the citizens can do the test, can drive by and do a test and get a reading. Because right now, the property is off limits. There's no trespassing.
Right.
So I would like to be able to see, but it has a fence around it.
Right.
You know, but you can get close enough to get a reading, but you're still on, you know, you would still be considered a trespasser by law if they didn't have permission. So I'd like to see set up that citizens with the equipment, you know, and making a arrangement with the town to be able to let them know, hey, we want to go up there and do a reading, do a random test.
Right.
And this is described in the original analysis that Andrew did that's separate from this draft. First we hired him to do an analysis, and then that was one of the options that we could have chosen to do. It's in the analysis if you want to read it, you know, exactly what the wording is.
Right.
And I'll send it to you.
Okay. Okay. So I'll add that as a thought as well. Okay. Anything else on anybody's mind regarding the draft law?
Yes, I have something to say. I believe that the original code that the town has on the books now allows for an RF engineer to do a test. And it says, as I recall, that if the tower is out of compliance, you have a way to remedy that. So, so that's what's there now.
Right. Okay. So we need to make sure the new law has that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, as Andrew mentioned, many of these towers, the FCC doesn't regulate. They have no idea what's going on. And sometimes they're wildly out of compliance. No one's checking.
Right. Right. And that's a good point, because we need to not only have regulations for when it goes in, but also to stay in.
Yeah, I think as a leasehold, as the town landlord, you have the right to regulate the
right. Right.
But I think that, may I ask how the policy will work in the future for other cell towers? Will the town be the one that builds them, or will they give that right to the Crown Castle? I mean, I think that you're in the driver's seat. The town is in the driver's seat if they own and erect the towers. When they give away that right, then we're in for a real sled ride.
Right. That's a good point.
The town should be the one that owns the tower.
So I thought, David, you're saying the town should own the tower?
Well, I agree with him, actually, but
Yep, okay. Well, I think we said not that the town would own the tower, but the town would maintain rights for the tower. Maintain rights in terms of checking, monitoring, measuring the radiation and having certain regulations, regulate the ongoing review, maintenance, measuring the radiation. So the town needs to have some ongoing regulation, not just regulation for when it goes in, but regulating on an ongoing basis. So Steve, it looks like you had something to add.
Yeah, I do. I have it right in front of me. There's 3 different types of testing in the analysis that was offered as an option by Andrew. Here's what they are. Type 1 was town government can enact a provision that provides that the respective local government will perform random testing of wireless facilities at the town's own expense, where it pays an RF engineer to test the radiation levels emanating from the wireless facilities within the jurisdiction. And then it goes on to say that if the facility is found that it's exposing members of the general public to radiation levels that exceed general population exposure limits, the town places the owner of the facility on notice and affords them a hearing which requires them to show why the permit for this facility should not be revoked and installation removed if they don't correct it. Now,
Right.
type 2 is the exact same thing as type 1, except that the provision imposes the cost of the testing upon the owner of the facility being tested. So that's type 2. Type 3 is, it's called a qui tam type provision that deputizes all members of the town. This type of provision, and this is what I'm talking about, this type of provision provides, and by the way, Ithaca has this in their zoning law that Andrew drew up for them. Any citizen can retain the services of an RF engineer and have the facility tested to ascertain if it is exposing members of the general public to radiation levels that exceed the general population exposure limits. So if the facility is found exceeding such limits, the citizen can use the facility owner to secure its removal. So long as the citizen establishes the facility was exceeding the general exposure limits, the facility owner must reimburse the citizen for their attorney fees if you have to go to court. Make it happen.
Okay.
So
and you're going to send me that. You're going to send me that document, right?
I'm going to send you that document in a minute, and it's on page 35 and 36 and 35, 37, 36 and 37.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Cool, excellent. Okay. Is there anything else anybody? Oh, so put the phone back up and if you had something else. Is there anything else anybody want? This is a really good list and I will document everything. Is there anything else anybody want to say about the draft law that Andrew sent us? Okay, I see Jude going like this. I see a bunch of people on mute. Rex and Jeff are on mute and Janine's on mute. So if there's anything, if you had anything else to say, I can't hear you if you're on mute. Okay, so I'll ask one more time. Is there anything else anybody want to say about the document or things we should be thinking about? And I'll just check with Bill to see if he has any issue with Andrew coming on April 11th. I think that's a great idea, the sooner rather than later. So we have a list of stuff that we can get to him that he can be thinking about. And I think that's a great idea. But again, I just want to make sure that Bill's in the loop with that, or it doesn't disrupt his plan for April 19th. But anyway, but it could be an even better session having Andrew come twice. He can hear everything that we have on our minds, and then he might have some answers by the 19th. So anyway, we'll just see how all that unfolds. And then again, I'll be getting with Ed, because Ed and I have specifics on the document that I think overall is well written, as people are agreeing, but there are little things here and there. So, okay. If nobody has any more comments, do I have a motion to adjourn? Jeff and Jude are on mute, but David could.
Okay, I'll make it.
David. I see Jude. Are you going to second? Is Jude going to second that?
I'll second that.
Yay. Okay. And everybody that's on here is going to be invited to the next call, because anytime we talk about telecommunications, as I've said to Steve, and these are open meetings, so everybody can come. I'm sure everybody here wants to come back. And Steve, just like tonight, you have a voice at the table. You don't have a ZRC vote, but you have a voice at the table anytime we're talking about this topic. So all that being said, Steve, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say I just sent you the analysis.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. And then Janine, I'm going to send you the documents that were sent out, which were originally sent out to this crew on March 3rd, and I'll get those sent to you. So, okay. Well, I think we're all in favor for adjournment. Bye. David, yay. And I can't hear Jeff, but
I vote to adjourn.
Is that the quickest meeting in history for you?
Well, not quite, but it was pretty good. It was less than an hour, so yay, we're good. So meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you all for attending, and we'll be talking soon.
Thank you, Laura.